With the 33rd pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Deshaun Stribling, wide receiver, Ole Miss.
Deshaun Stribling, he's from Hawaii. Made stops at Washington State and Oklahoma State before settling in at Ole Miss. And Mel, really productive the last two seasons. 107 catches, 12 touchdowns, and he ran 4.36 at the combine.
Impressive size, speed ratio, good run after the catch ability. You throw it up, and Deshaun Stribling, you saw he's right here. You see the burst out of the break. You see the ability here to make the catch and the catch radius as well. Tracks the ball over the shoulder, no problem in traffic. Plus, he's a blocker as well. And he can get it done there. You see him here, turn on the jet after the catch and outrace those defensive backs into the end zone. The attention to detail is a route runner. I think you will get to that in the NFL, get to that point. But at Ole Miss, with Trinidad Chandler emerging a quarterback for Ole Miss this year, you saw it here against the Georgia Bulldogs. You see that speed. He's running away from some talented defensive back. Stribling put it together this past year, big way. Talk about in the college playoff quarterfinal against Georgia Tech, 7 catches for 122 yards against Miami, 5 catches, 77 yards. He was an excellent football player. The size-speed ratio that he has puts him in the category we talked about, maybe even a little ahead of Denzel Boston. I thought Boston was a better overall player from a route running standpoint, but on talent alone, Stribling had a lot of people that really were in his corner.
Yeah, this guy has the makings of a true number one. A big, strong, physical ex-wide receiver at 6'2", 200, 205, 210 pounds, and Lane Kiffin loved him down there. He was a big playmaker for him all season long. He was a big playmaker at Oklahoma State. He was a big playmaker at Washington State. Got to see this kid play live a couple times. He has put together exactly how you like your outside lane winners to be. He wins all the 50-50 balls down the field. You saw the catch and run stuff that he can do down there. And look, I'm telling you, he will love playing with Brock Purdy in this precision play-action pass offense. He'll get a lot of one-on-one opportunities. They need some juice and some size and speed on the outside.
And when you think about the 49ers, with everything that went on with Brandon Ayuk, now you got Ricky Pearsall, you got Deshaun Stribling. They needed a wide receiver. We thought they were maybe going defensive line, but they helped Brock Purdy out. This is a really good pick for them.
Yeah, General Manager John Lynch said in January, it's safe to say that Brandon Ayuk has played his final snap with the 49ers. That's about as definitive as it can get.
With the 33rd pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Deshaun Stribling, wide receiver, Ole Miss.
Yeah, this dude got some helium late in the process. He went to the combine and ran a blistering 4.3640, and you see there at 207 pounds. And the run after catch, that's where that speed shows up, specifically in a game against Georgia where he catches a 5-yard little hitch and rolls away from Everett, who's someone who ran 4.36 or 4.38 at the combine. But just look at him. When he gets the ball in his hands after the catch, CD, he can absolutely fly. And think about that offense with Shanahan. They're going to get you out in space. They major in guys that can do these things with the ball in their hands after the catch. That's what he does best.
And that's what they did with Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss Jr., who was operating that offense there. And look at him coming to the ball game, ready to rock and roll. And look, Juwan Jennings gave them a lot of great play out on the perimeter with size, ability to go out and dig out those safeties, and when he was blocking, all those things. You get the same thing with Stribling, except in a 4.36 package. Juwan Jennings didn't run anywhere near that speed. And what's the deal with Ole Miss receivers in the second round?
Well, they can all fly, too.
Trey Harris last year with DK Metcalf. That's
A.J.
what you
Brown.
get.
I would also say he produced at 3 schools, guys. Washington State, Oklahoma State, then Ole Miss, and he was great late at Ole Miss. He had over 90 yards per game in their CFP run for the Rebs, so he can play. There's no doubt 200 catches in his career, heavy production.
With the 33rd pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Deshaun Stribling, wide receiver, Ole Miss.
Yeah. Deshaun Stribling started his career at Washington State, a couple of years at Oklahoma State, and then went to Ole Miss. He's had to overcome some things. You know, he says after his football career's over, wants to go back home to Hawaii, maybe do some surfing, underwater photography. It might be a little while before this guy can go and do that, because he's the guy who can really help the 49ers.
I think this guy is really a special receiver. He was one of my top guys in this draft, no doubt. He's very smooth. He's athletic, can catch balls and adjust to the ball, make back shoulder throws. He's got run after catch. The guy will block. He's got lots of production at Ole Miss, and I think this guy's going to has a total package.
Yeah, Coach, you know what? This guy, his dad, Carlos, spent 17 years in the Marines. His teammates say he's very disciplined. He said his dad told him no shortcuts. That's why he has a high work ethic. He's going to be very, very good at the next level, Field.
Yeah, 6'3", 207 pounds with speed in the 4.3s. That right there is a good starter kit and a good way to get rolling on those uncommon traits that we were just talking about a few moments ago. What else we liked about Dejon Stribling? He got better as the season wore on. His two best games of the season were under the microscope. Against Miami, against University of Georgia, who will have at least one defensive back taken either tonight or tomorrow. 7 catches for $122 in that game. Stribling kept on getting better and better as the season wore on. Height, weight, speed, good way to start the draft for the 49ers.
You know, one of the things we do here on our coverage, College Game Day version, NFL Draft on ABC, is we focus on the player's journey, the path, their background. Desmond, you mentioned his dad. Are you familiar with Dejon Stribling's uncle, WWE Hall of Famer, Don the Rock Morocco?
Wow, I didn't know that. I didn't get that in my research. Only his dad.
Well, I will say this. That's not a wide receiver body there.
It is not.
That's a defensive tackle. It's a guard.
Wow. That is unbelievable.
That's pretty good stuff.
He's a tough wide receiver, too.
I'd like to recruit a couple of those guys.
With the 70th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Romello Height, defensive end, Texas Tech.
All right, Romello is 25 years old, made stops at USC and Georgia Tech before a sensational season at Texas Tech last year. First team all Big 12 with 10 quarterback sacks.
6'3", about 239 pounds. Good arm length. Ran 4.64 with a 39 vertical. Opposite David Bailey. Done that. Lee Hunter inside. David Bailey coming off the edge along with Romello Height against Kansas. He was outstanding. Had 2 sacks in that game in the playoff game against Oregon. 5 tackles in the sack. He's a speed off the edge guy. That's what gets your attention right away. He's got easy bend around the arc. Nice job of setting up the offensive lineman. Chase down plays in pursuit. Now, against the run, how effective will he be at the pro level, Lou? That's going to be the question.
You know, his playing personality fits perfectly with what San Francisco asked their defensive ends to play like. He is 1,000 miles an hour, has one of the real good spin moves that you'll see in college football. But I'll tell you what, Chris Kaczmarek, the defensive line coach in San Francisco, you best believe he loved the way this kid played, playing personality-wise.
With the 70th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Romello Height, defensive end, Texas Tech.
You're seeing why a lot of these teams were in the playoffs. We just had a Miami tackle, which was the second offensive tackle from Miami to get drafted. Now we have the second edge rusher from Texas Tech on that defense that was dynamite this year. Saw David Bailey go number 2. Height generated a lot of pressure with a lot of production on that opposite side of the field. He's a little bit light at under 240 pounds, but he can win with speed. He's got a nifty inside spin. And I wrote down repeatedly in my notes, CD, this dude just plays hard. There's tremendous effort, and someone who's very well traveled around the college football landscape. He finished up on a high note.
And it's usually no accident, as we know, guys, that great pass rusher has a tag team partner. Bain had Mesidor at Miami. Height there is the tag team partner for David Bailey.
Are you saying he's a height, weight, speed guy? Is that what you're saying?
Actually, yeah, it was more of a height speed guy minus the weight. But he's a Romello Height speed guy.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So that's some pieces of the puzzle on the San Francisco defense.
With the 70th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Romello Height, defensive end, Texas Tech.
Another Texas Tech defender, Romello Height, went to 4 different schools, but he has great pass rushing ability. He and David Bailey were bookends. Bailey went 2nd overall to the Jets, and now Height is going to San Francisco.
Yeah, you mentioned 4 different schools, 1 season at Texas Tech, started 28 of 50 career games, real juice off the edge. It was a great ecosystem to play in, right? Guys are worrying about David Bailey on the opposite side and Lee Hunter in the middle. That being said, if you're looking for natural first step quickness, Romello Height brought that to the table. A lean guy. Got to keep that mass up throughout the course of a 17-game NFL season. But if it's 3rd and 7 and you got to rush the passer, he's the guy you want rushing.
So Romello Height going in, he had to deal with a couple of shoulder injuries in his career, but had a great final season at Texas Tech, and he's going to the 49ers, and they needed pass rush, one of the worst teams in the league in terms of applying pressure to the quarterback.
With the 90th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Kaylon Black, running back, Indiana.
Well, the JMUer, only the 3rd running back off the board. A year ago at this time, through 90 picks, we had twice as many with 6, Mel, but Kaylon Black is the 3rd.
JMU to Indiana with Kurt Signetti, right? And it was like 14 of those kids that came from JMU, and they deserve a lot of credit for what they accomplished at Indiana, and he was a key guy with Roman Hemby, who transferred in from Maryland. And you look at what Kaylon Black did this year, over 1,000 yards, averaged 5.6 a carry. He attacks the line of scrimmage, runs hard. Talk about a guy in the Hoosiers' 3 playoff games, went for 241 yards, averaged 5.5 a carry with 3 touchdowns. Excels at picking up yards after contact. The drive, the contact balance, exceptional. Limited as a pass-catching option. He's got to work on that aspect of his game. I was surprised he wasn't invited to the combine, Lou.
Yeah,
I think as a number 2 back, this kid will get the job done.
He'll embarrass you. If you do not play with leverage against him, once he gets to the 2nd level, he will flat out embarrass you. Only 4 receptions this year. You're right. I mean, he's one of those guys. Him and Hemby were a heck of a combination. They put a lot of defense. It's the shame with just how tough they are and how they run the football. Fits perfectly in San Francisco.
With the 90th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Kaylon Black, running back, Indiana.
There's your running back. And another Indiana Hoosier.
Yeah, non-combine, too. I believe it's the first non-combine player to get selected here. Kaylon Black, he runs low to the ground. It's a real power base. He's a physical, tough, hard runner who, when you watch him, every single time he gets hit, he just falls forward. He doesn't take negative runs. He's very willing in pass protection, get down in these short yardage situations. He's going to fight his way into the end zone. The other thing I like about him, which you won't see here, is this dude can cover kicks.
Yeah.
He's going to have an impact on special teams right away.
Well, and what I loved about him is that the offense actually ran through him. This is the thing, is like Indiana was primarily a run team. They had to get their run game going to get that RPO game going for Fernando in the passing game. Think about the Rose Bowl, guys. They ran the ball at Alabama 50 times in that Rose Bowl, beating them badly, and Kaylon Black was a big part of that.
And he took every snap at the Senior Bowl as well. 16-game season, did everything at the Senior Bowl, didn't miss anything.
With the 90th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Kaylon Black, running back, Indiana.
So another Hoosier offensive player going in this draft is Kaylon Black, who split time in the backfield last year. He's a guy who came with Kurt Signetti from James Madison and was really a big part of the Hoosier offense field.
Wow, and I'll tell you what, he was excellent for them this past season, was Kaylon Black, in that 1-2 punch along with Roman Hemby. I thought he had more juice, explosiveness between those two backs. Here's a story that stuck with me throughout the pre-draft process. Indiana, of course, plays a 16-game season. They win the national championship. Not long after that, a lot of the NFL world congregates down in Mobile, Alabama for the Senior Bowl. Understandably, many, if not all other Indiana players weren't there. Kaylon Black showed up, wanted to prove how much of a competitor he was. Jim Harbaugh noticed it, and the San Francisco 49ers noticed it in the 3rd round.
49ers used a lot of two-back offenses a year ago, and Kalon Black now goes to San Francisco.
With the 107th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Grayson Halton, defensive tackle, Oklahoma. Welcome to the Bay, buddy.
Boomer is answered with Sooner as Wee-Woo and Halton go back-to-back in this draft. Grayson Halton, big defensive tackle, led the nation in run stop rate, good against the run, nearly 9.9.
You know, Reeves, I think back to a conversation I had with the scouts during the pre-draft process. Who would you rather have, Caleb Proctor or Grayson Halton? Similar archetypes, guys who are just under 300 pounds, but they can absolutely rush. Halton had 8.5 sacks over the past 2 seasons and 26 pressures in just 2025. Now, he's going to get knocked around a little bit in the running game, but he gives you that juice and that positional versatility along the defensive front. And now that we actually have the draft upon us, it turns out these guys go 3 spots apart in the order. That debate was probably all for naught.
So Grayson Halton on his way to San Francisco.
With the 107th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Grayson Halton, defensive tackle, Oklahoma. Welcome to the Bay, buddy.
I love it. Grayson Halton. Interesting when you're thinking about comparisons. Osio Digizua is the style of player that he is. That's who they brought into that organization in the offseason. And someone, not real long CD, but of interior pass rushers, he's near the top of this class. 6 sacks last year. He's got a real quick get off. You watch the South Carolina game, you see him right there, just run right over the running back on the way to the quarterback. He's got explosive hands. He wants to penetrate, and that's a defense. That's a defensive line by Chris Kasurik. It is attack, attack, attack. Read is a 4-letter word in that defense. Get up the field and go. That's what he does.
And then why do you need more people like that? Think about what the Rams do, right? With Kyron Williams running the football and the types of things that they do back there. You want to disrupt. Think about what Seattle's going to want to do. They just added another running back, right? And Jadarian Price. They're going to want to pound away with the football. Get upfield and stop them before anything gets started moving out of that backfield.
Inside the 49ers facility, the forecast calls for excitement. There's Kyle Shanahan on the phone with the latest 49er to be added. It's the second of 4 fourth-round picks. They're picking right here, and then 133rd, 139th overall. Here's the latest 49er pick.
With the 127th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Carver Willis, guard, Washington.
Always interesting to see how they're announced. Charles announced as a guard. You see on the screen, played left tackle and 25, and has career starts on the other side and the right side as well. So I think he's better off moving inside. He got some knockoff power, but I thought there were times he got edged a little bit by some speed. I think kicking inside, giving him neighbors on each side is going to help him out.
2 things. None of them, I think, really even matter, but I have to point out, this is pick 127 that was made at 1:27 p.m. Eastern time. I'm freaking out.
Well done.
It's possible if we move things along, pick 128 could be at 120, you know what I mean? Then we'll be done by like 3:30, you know what I mean? Like with the post and all that.
With the 139 pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select
Ephesians Prysock, defensive back, Washington.
¡Vamos Niners!
Ephesians Prysock, another guy who started his career in Arizona and went to Washington following Jed Fish, who made that move.
Yeah, Jed Fish had an archetype he liked for his corners, Reese. Rare length with big-time speed as well. We talked about Sicario Davis, night 2. He went to the Bengals. Prysock, not that far apart physically. 6'3" with 4.45 speed. That's big time for a player with those dimensions. Like a lot of these longer corners, the question is this. Can they be disciplined at top of routes? Over the past couple of seasons, 13 penalties for Prysock. Got to clean that up. Not super twitchy when we're talking about lateral agility. Some of these guys at the NFL level can get him at the top of routes. But if you want to have him match up against a perimeter wide receiver who does most of his damage down the field, he has the size, he has the speed to hang with guys like that, and he's a fit for this San Francisco defense.
I found very little not to like about Prysock. Very little. I mean, for a guy who's that tall, 6'3", man, he had the movement skills of someone who was 5'11", 6 foot to me. He's not one of those guys who has to take a lot of time to get those long legs to unwind. And you're right, he is super aggressive. You have to back him down a little bit so he doesn't get PIs. But he's made of the right stuff.
with the 139 pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select
Ephesians Prysock, defensive back, Washington.
¡Vamos Niners!
All right, Daniel, you take this one.
It's unbelievable. We're on quite the Bible run here in this round. Ephesians Prysock. We've had two corners from Washington now. Both go off the board. Both of them pushing 6'4". Just enormous corners with size and length. Sicario Davis went a little bit earlier. Plays outside. He's a willing tackler. Not a ton of ball production, but the size, speed is there in 4.45. So some more development to take place. That's why his teammate went ahead of him, CD. But when you have this type of size and a guy who's willing and tough, as you see right here, man, that's something to work with.
Raheem Morris, the new defensive coordinator there, he will definitely find use for this young man out on the perimeter. And the 49ers continue to add players to this roster.
With the 154th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Jaden Duggar, linebacker, Louisiana.
49ers pick 154, Jaden Duggar.
6'4" with a 7-foot wingspan. He had 125 tackles this year, 13 for loss, and he's rangy. I think what you see is an ascending player. He's still learning to get off blocks. When he starts to get blocked, he rarely gets off of them. Still needs to gain some weight, add some muscle mass. You can see kind of thin arms there, but he's got real range and real tackle traits.
The 49ers put to work. We got Jaden Duggar.
A local kid from Pittsburgh, a Penn Hills graduate, began his college career, Reese, at Georgetown, 6'4", nearly 6'5", 250 pounds, 85-inch wingspan. Had an absolutely dynamic year this past season, 125 tackles, but he missed 17 as well. It's like a guys, you're going to kind of figure out where he best fit at the NFL level. Intriguing trait, the player who has his best football ahead of him.
With the 179th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Enrique Cruz Jr., tackle, Kansas.
I like this pick. Enrique Cruz, long arms, was a good tester. I turned on the tape on him, and one of the things that stood out to me, you can see he's played left tackle, right tackle. He's probably a right tackle in the league. But one of the things that stood out is I thought he had a really good game against Missouri. And you had a couple of dogs over there, including Zion Johnson, and the other rusher slips my name. He went to Miami in the portal. He was going into the draft and then came back, and he's going to Miami in the portal. But Enrique Cruz tested really well, moves really well. He's got the long arms. Like I said, there is right there, you see him locking up one of the defensive ends from Missouri, and both of them are high caliber NFL caliber players. You see him on the move here, that shows off the testing, his ability to move. He's a little bit straight line-ish, so he's got to become a little bit better in terms of adjusting to movement up front. But Enrique Cruz has some traits and has some ability here.
.257 is the total all the way through to Mr. Irrelevant. And the reason why we bring that up is you never know who's going to be chosen last and is highly relevant. And the person who drafted Brock Purdy into this league, the GM and Hall of Fame player and human, John Lynch, here on NFL Network's live draft coverage. Good to see you, John. How are you, sir?
Rich, Charles, Daniel, doing great. Thank you. Yeah, doing awesome. And appreciate you guys entertaining us throughout this thing. It's long days up in that draft room, and you guys keep it fun and keep it light, and we appreciate that.
I appreciate you for saying that. Thank you, John. All right, so I guess the first night, walk us through your decision to trade out of the first round, and then did you have a chance to maybe trade out again at top of Friday night? Walk us through the decision-making on that front.
Yeah, we traded out twice. We went from 27 to 30. That was a deal I had, worked out with John Eric Sullivan, new GM, outstanding to work with kind of the week before, thinking that a lot of people would be moving that direction, moving back. So you try to lock a deal in early, and we're able to get some draft capital in that. And then we moved again back to 33 and ended up at a place where you had a really coveted pick. But, I think overnight, Kyle and I said, let's kind of sleep on this thing. And our gut was just to stay and pick. We really like Dejon Stribling and everything that he stands for, the player, the person. We have a deal. The highest standard as a 49er in our draft process is called a gold helmet. And it's kind of checking every box on the field, off the field, and athleticism. And Sean was one of the 16 that we gave this year. And so to make that your first pick at wide receiver, the way he plays, his physicality that he plays with, his speed, his size, we just loved the whole package. And it kept growing and growing to the point where we were proud to make him a 49er.
Coach, did you feel that, or John, did you feel that groundswell for him around the league? Because I started hearing his name pop up a ton late in the process, and it was like, look, everybody has their grades, their evaluations are in, but you could feel there was a lot of teams that were very interested in him, and I kept hearing about the visits. Everybody that spent time with him, they raved about his intelligence, they raved about his character. For you guys to set him apart like that, it seems like you guys found the same things.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, Daniel. You felt this groundswell, and early on there were a lot of guys that people had much higher than him. the way he played in the college football playoff. I think one of the most helpful things, you saw what he did at Ole Miss, but to go back and watch what he did at Oklahoma State, and then you go back and watch him at Washington State, and each offense is a little different. Anything you give the guy. And then, we've had really good success here when say on offense, Kyle Shanahan, Clay Kubiak have a vision exactly how they're going to use a guy, and they can articulate that. Then we get convicted, and when we have conviction, when we get consensus from our R&D, from our scouts, that's when we're really cooking with gas, and we've hit on draft picks in the past. And so it happened in our building. Not so sure, how the rest of but I do understand what you heard, Daniel. I felt like he was a hot guy and kept moving on up, and we're proud to have him.
John, we often talk about how some of these great players travel in pairs, right? So David Bailey goes number 2 to the Jets. You get the other pass rusher on the opposite end of the line, opposite end of the defense, in Romello Height. And later on, Takario Davis, the corner at Washington, you get Ephesians Prysock. Both of these pairs, obviously highly productive. What did you see in Height and Prysock that you like so much that you decided to draft them, even though the other guys, quote unquote, were more highly rated?
Well, man, I tell you, I don't know if I've had so much fun in a draft process as turning on Texas Tech's defense. I know they pay for it, but they're doing a good job evaluating too.
Nice.
Because these guys can go. I'm just a little hot that David Bailey somehow got out of Stanford, because we got Andrew Luck will fix that in the future here. But,
so will Brad Freeman.
Yes, Brad Freeman helps. $50 million. Here we go. Thank you, Brad. But anyhow, Height, man, it was so fun to turn on that tape. And, we talk a lot about character, with the Niners, but we talk also about, we have this thing, wit, what it takes, and we have game wit. And Romello scored the highest game wit in college football this year. The relentless effort this guy plays the game with. It was just, I had Floyd Peters, my first D-line coach going way back. He was our defensive coordinator at Tampa, and Floyd was an old crusty guy, and he played D-line himself, and he used to say, offensive linemen fly airplanes, defensive linemen jump out. And Romello's a jump out guy. He is hair on fire, and we became very intrigued with the tape. We wanted to get him. We had a good idea where we could. We got to 58, then we moved back a little in a deal with Cleveland, and we're hanging on for dear life that he would get there, and we're really proud to add Romello as well and his relentless effort. We feel like he's got some versatility, not only to rush the passer, also play some linebacker in Raheem Morris's defense. So very thrilled with those first 2 guys.
So you just kind of made reference, John, to NIL and that sort of thing in college. Do you want to role play? I'm Bill Walsh, you're you. Tell me you want NIL money. How would that have gone, John?
Well, I'll tell you how the interaction was with me and Bill Walsh. I was so nervous that it was Bill Walsh. I could not even, hang with him. I'll never forget the old, he had me come to his house one night, Scott Frost was one of the highest recruited players, and Bill Walsh, in the worst way, wanted Scott Frost as a quarterback. And he brought me out. He lives out in Portola Valley. This is the old Thomas brothers. We didn't have GPS. And I'm out there, and it's pitch dark, and I'm an hour late because I cannot find Bill Walsh's house. I was the host for Scott Frost. We walk in that room, and I hope Notre Dame people forgive me, because in his trophy room was one Joe Montana, and he made his pitch to Scott Frost. I think did a solid for Bill Walsh, and Scott Frost was all in, and that's where he started his career. But as to how I would, I don't know. I'm not very good at negotiating my own contract, so that's why I always have an agent.
Come on,
Bill was intimidated, to say the least, but he was such a good man. He was funny, and I'm so grateful for him, because he kind of accelerated my career.
I love that. Hey, John, real quick, how are Kittle and Bosa doing? How are they recovering?
They're doing awesome. Yeah, both tireless workers, both huge parts of our team in every way, in what they do on the field, in their leadership, and they're both doing really well. George from the Achilles and Nick from the ACL. Nick's happened earlier in the season, so he's closer. But George, we have a good feeling that he's going to be ready at some point, if not for the first game. And man, it's going to make a difference to get them back along with Fred Warner and all the additions we've made. We're really excited about our team.
Well, it's nice to be able to put the facility to rest about your injuries, right, John? I mean, I'm sure that that's got to be a massive relief for you that you've absolved the facilities for all of that. But looking ahead as you're getting all these guys back from injury and the season you're about to have with travel and everything else, you're getting ready for a draft, but you also have to get ready for a season. How much goes into the planning, the preparation, all the things that you guys are going to have to do in order to have the success you expect to have for the 49ers?
Yeah, it's been a big task. It's been a daunting task to kind of prepare for that. It's kind of unheard of. You know, we're going off to Australia for week 1, and there's a lot of planning. Fortunately, we've got a lot of great people that I can kind of put the load on, logistics folks, and they're handling that. We sent a whole group down there for an advance. A lot goes into it. When do you go? How do you get your guys best ready for that? And you know, you rely a lot on the experts and on science, and so we're trying to figure out the best mix. Then we'll go down to Mexico City later in the year. But those are the cards we're dealt. We'll embrace it. You know, we're excited about this season. We've got a lot of work to do from here to there. I think we made our team better in free agency with a couple trades. Osa Digawuzu, and I think I just butchered his name. That's why I just call him Osa.
Yeah, that's it.
Digazua. So, but we couldn't be more excited about our team, and we better be good because our division is just loaded. Two great teams that we have a lot of respect for. We'll play the Rams in week 1, and here we go. Now it's onward, and we'll go finish up this free agent class to add to a draft class that we love, and then we go to work, and we'll be ready.
And I appreciate you taking the time as time's ticking down right here on the draft, and as we head towards the final pick of the draft. Can you tell our viewers here what it was like when you're on the clock for the so-called Mr. Irrelevant pick and you were looking at your board and there's Brock Purdy's name, and obviously what a massive pick that turned out to be? What was that like as we're all getting set for another such moment here in this draft? John.
Well, man, that's a great memory. It makes me smile because of what Brock's meant to our place. And I'll just tell you this, I'm very grateful to the whole process. And that's the cool thing about the draft. A whole building comes together. Everybody from your R&D to your chefs who feed these guys when they're in their 30s, to your coaching staff. And, you know, the two people I always recognize on that, Steve Slowick, who was the area scout, who went in and would listen to Matt Campbell talk about how this young man changed their program and had them competing against the Oklahomas of the world. And you saw some of those shootouts. And we really did have great conviction. People say, if you had such great conviction, why'd you wait till Mr. Irrelevant? It's because you study those things and where do you think they might go? And we were hanging on. We thought we might have Brock in free agency if he went undrafted, but we didn't want to take that chance, and we turned in the last card. We were so smart. We waited right till the end and wanted a free trip to Newport Beach for him, and Brock's been tremendous for us, and tremendous player, tremendous young man. Can't say enough about Brock Purdy.
John, thanks for the time, man. Always great to see you.
Hey, thank you guys.
You bet. That's John Lynch, everybody, of the San Francisco 49ers here on a draft day. Smile if you just added to your defense. That's John Lynch on the phone with one of the new 49ers drafted into this draft.